Welcome everyone to the book launch of Freedom in Quarantine. I have some questions prepared for José Ignacio Murillo. Very welcome. José Ignacio is a professor of philosophy at the University of Navarre, and he's also, of course, a disciple of Leonardo Polo. Can you tell us something about who Leonardo Polo was and what did he mean to you?
Leonardo Polo was, well, for me, he was my doctoral supervisor. And I knew him in Pamplona because he taught philosophy a lot of time in Pamplona. He was one of the first professors of philosophy there in the University of Navarra. He taught there until his retirement. Polo was a philosopher, a very original philosopher, no? Because his view of philosophy is the idea that a philosopher has to try to contribute to the progress of philosophy, to discover something new, to increase knowledge for humanity. So a philosopher must be very ambitious. And Leonardo Polo was a very ambitious philosopher. The idea of Leonardo Polo was to improve interest of modern philosophy in human being and especially in freedom to deal with this topic in an adequate way. And he thought that the abandonment of mental limitation is a methodology that allows to make a better anthropology.
So thank you very much for this brief introduction. There's a lot to say. The work of Polo is very extensive, so we cannot all talk about that in 5 minutes. You've been using Lo Radicale y Libertad, which is the text that's been translated at university education at the University of Navarre. And what is your experience in using this book? So how have students reacted? What is your experience in using this text?
This is a very special text. It's the transcription of some lessons. It's not a monography, a paper, an academic writing. But the ideas are very inspiring. When people finish their study of philosophy, sometimes they come to me and say, this book is one of the books that has influenced the most in my view. He is able to explain what philosophy has discovered about human being, why the Occidental tradition of thinking is like it is, but he makes compatible different traditions because he goes to the root of the image of human being. And he sees that the discoveries that underlie those traditions are compatible. And this is a very good thing.
Great. Thank you very much, José Ignacio. That's a very brief, succinct introduction. Thank you so much. We'll now move on to Adrian Reimers. Welcome. He's joining us from the USA. Adrian is a professor of philosophy at Holy Cross College in Notre Dame, Indiana, where he also lives with his wife, Mary. And Adrian has been so kind to write a very nice preface to Freedom in Quarantine. So I'm very happy that he could be here and join us. And could you say something about what you think this booklet contributes to the English-speaking philosophy world?
When you're teaching undergraduates who know nothing of philosophy, one of the biggest challenges, it finally occurred to me after maybe 3 or 4 years of teaching, that students don't know why we are even asking the questions we ask and talking about the things that we're talking about. And I found actually in your introduction, Daniel, of this book, and then in the text itself, but especially in the introduction, a very nice presentation of why these philosophical questions are important. It's very helpful, I think, and I think it would be helpful for students too, to see how the way we think about things now is not complete. Polo is interesting because he's not hostile at all to the modern way of thinking. He is critical, however. And I think this work presents that very well. So the first thing I guess I would say about this book is that it presents a very nice overview of some central themes of philosophy, particularly anthropological themes. What are we?
What do you think, if you look at your students, what would be in it for them, maybe also more at a personal level? Or what do you think for a student personally, what could they get from this book?
Well, one thing is an historical perspective. My experience with students is that they have very little historical perspective. If it raises questions about the human soul, or about God, or about freedom, all they can see is what people are saying today. Polo gives an historical perspective on that, and I think that it's tremendously important. Can I say one other thing?
Yes, please.
I wanted to mention this, and that's business. Apollo and his disciples have an unusual interest in business. And I say unusual because philosophy has nothing to do with business, right? And it seems that that's very important, that Apollo's disciples actually care about business and think that philosophy has something to say to business, and that business has important factors that can contribute to philosophy. That's all.
Very good. I think for an American, that is especially important, right?
Uh-huh.
Very good. Thank you so much, Adrian, for this contribution. Very much appreciated. I would again like to thank you all for being here. It's much appreciated that you've come to this book launch. It's been a lot of work to put the book together. I really hope that you can enjoy it, that it's useful to you in some way. But yeah, for now, thank you so much for being here, and see you another time.
Yeah, I hope so.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.